Hello everybody, how are you? So what we are going to learn from this video? Of course, from this video we are going to learn the outbreak of a revolution. Why did riots take place in France on 14 July 1789? To know this, and it is also known as a Bastille Fort storm. It is also known the Bastille Day. Okay, on this day, Bastille Fort was stormed through the revolutionaries. So why these all things had happened? Why situation had occurred? And to know these all the thing, we know the story of a background from this particular day. So our story is begin from here, from this day, 5th of May 1789, when Louis XVI called the State General meeting. Why Louis XVI called the State General meeting? Because he want to increase taxes. And why he want to increase taxes? Because there is his empty, his treasure was empty, and to meet their regular expenses he has no financial resources except to these taxes. And why people protest? Why third state, why the member of a third state protest, start their protest from this particular day? Because people were meeting the subsistence crisis. As I told you, subsistence crisis mean a situation where people are not able to meet their regular basic need like food, shelter and clothes. Why they are not able to meet it? Because they have a lacking of resources. They have a lacking of money. They don't have a land to cultivate for themselves, and they don't have a job, and there is a food scarcity. And sometimes if there is a bad harvest cause of a severe winter, there is a severe winter, there is a bad harvest, and the baker of the workshop, what they also exploit the situation. What exploit the situation? They hoarded the supply. So and above these all the thing, what king wants to do? King wanted to increase the taxes, and that taxes was extracted with the peasant classes. Those peasant classes who already suffered, and king wanted to impose the taxes on them. So our story is begin from here. Louis XVI had to increase taxes. The reason you have learned previously, and I recall you just now. In France old regime, monarch did not had a power to impose taxes according to his will alone. And for that, he need to call the state general meeting. A state general meeting who had a power, who decide, who took decision to pass the proposal for the new taxes. And what is a state general? State general, it is the political body of France. And in state general, as I told you, the France was divided into three society. The France was divided into three society: first state, second state, and third state. First and second, there is a clergy, and second is a nobles. First is a clergy, and second is a noble, and third is also divided in a upper middle class, upper middle class, and lower middle class, right? So these all three state members sent their representative in a state general meeting. And who had a power to call this meeting? Yeah, of course, king had a power to call this meeting. When to call this meeting? And before call this meeting was called in 5th May 1789. And before call this meeting, the meeting was organized. The meeting had called on a 1614 meeting. Before this meeting called in a 1614. Okay, so for the meeting, a splendid hall, splendid in the sense a big hall in Versailles was prepared to host the delegates. Delegates in the sense representative. All the representatives had to come on this day to attend the meeting. See, in first and second state, the first and second state representative, the first and second state representative. See, it is just imagine this is the hall. And first and second state representative, they sent a 300 first and second state person sent a 300 representative, okay, 300 representative each, and they seated to face each another, like this way they seated, right? And while 600 members were sent from the third state member, and they will stand back of them here. 600 member here, 300 and 600, and 600 member, they will stand back of them here. They will stand back of them, and who came to attend who came to attend this state general meeting from the third state. So of course from the third state there were very prosperous and richest person came to attend this meeting. And peasants, worker or women, they denied to enter in the assembly hall. So their grievance in the sense complaint, demand, were listed 40,000 letters, which their representative brought with them. And voting in a state general in the past, according to the principle, like each state had a one vote. And this time Louis XVI too want the same practice from this time. But the third state member, they denied. They demanded, no, this time the voting conducted to be each state of a member, voting conducted to be assembly as a whole. Like all member of a assembly will have a vote. All member of assembly had a vote. But and this was a democratic practice, which was the democratic practice put forward by the philosophers like Rousseau, who wrote in his book The Social Contract. There is a social connectivity with the government and their people. And when the king rejected their demand, so the third state of a member, they walked out from the assembly hall and protest. So the third state member viewed themselves as a spokesman for a whole France nation. So on 20 June, just remember, meeting was called on 5th of May 1789, and after the 1.5 month, the third state member, they all assembled on a Versailles tennis court ground. When they all assembled on 20 June 1789, okay, they all assembled on this day after the 1.5 month. They all assembled in a Versailles tennis ground, and they all assembled over there, and they declared themselves as a national assembly. What they declared? They declared themselves national assembly. They declared themselves national assembly. If question will ask when France declared themselves as national assembly, so they declared themselves as a national assembly on 20th of June 1789, right? And they sought to disperse what not until till they had drafted the constitution, means they'll make a constitution which limit the power of a monarch. Will not take what they swore will not take our step back until we drafted the constitution which will limit the power of a monarch. And these all the thing was led by the Mirabeau and Abbessia. So who was Mirabeau and Abbessia? The Mirabeau, he was born in a noble class family, but was convinced of the need to do away with the society of a feudal privileges, and he bought out as a general. And delivered his powerful speech to the crowd assembled at Versailles. And Abbasia, he was a priest. Abbasia was a priest. He wrote an influential pamphlet called What is the Third State? What third state is. So while the National Assembly was busy, from this date, the National Assembly was busy to draft the constitution, and the rest of the France seethed with turmoil. Seethed in the sense they were boiling. Turmoil in the sense with the disturbance. Seethed with turmoil, they were boiling. Rest of the France boiling with the disturbance. Why? What kind of a disturbance they were facing? Because of a severe winter. And because of a severe winter, there is a bad harvest. If there is a bad harvest, it means there is no grain in a market, there is no food in a market, and often baker exploited the situation. How they exploited? They hoarded the supply, and after spending an hour long queue in the bakery shop, the crowded anger women, they stormed into the shop, and at the same time the riots was starting over there, and at the same time king ordered his troops. What he ordered his troops? To go inside the city. He just wanted to say, just go inside the city and manage all the crowd, just manage the riots, what was happening over there, just manage the disturbance, why people are fighting, why people are doing these all the activities. And in 14 July, now when these all the thing had happened on this day, so on this day 1789, and after listening, when people heard like king sent his troops, king sent his army to control us, they thought might their army shoot on us. So before this had happened, what they had done, they stormed the Basel fort. Okay, and in a countryside, these all the things happening, and in meantime, in a countryside, there is a rumor spread from village to village. What rumor spread? Lots of manure. Who called manure? Those who have a large land buildings, and under them there is a worker and peasants. There is a workers and peasants do work under them. They are manure. So lots of them manure hired a bands of brigands who were on the way to destroy their ripe crop. And caught in a frenzy and fear, peasants in a several district seized hoe and pitchfork, and they attacked on their chatwicks. What is a chatwicks? Chatwicks is the big houses of the noble, clergy and churches. Okay, so this is called chatwicks, a type of a small palace, you can say. So what peasants start to do now? They looted the shops, they looted the grains, foods, and burned down the documents containing records of a manorial dues. A large number of nobles fled from the home, and many of them migrated from their countryside, migrated from the country, and faces with the power of his revolting subject. Now, what king was facing? Faces for his revolting subject of king faces with the power of his revolting subject. Louis XVI accorded recognition. According the sense, King Louis XVI finally accepted. What he accepted? He accepted the recognition. Recognition is an identification. He accepted the identification of the National Assembly and accept their principle. Now, the power of a king would be checked by the Constitution. And on 4th of August 1789, now riots were going on, okay, and 14 July, and after 14 July, see, after this, on 4th of August 1789, after 1789 14 July. Now in a next month, after 20 days, okay, in a next month on 4th of August 1789, the assembly passed a decree. What he passed a decree? The feudal, they abolished the feudal system. Okay, and they abolished the feudal system, obligation and taxes. Now member of the clergy too were forced to give up their power, to give up their privileges. Tithes were abolished. As I told you, what is the tithes? Tithes, it is the tax which is extracted through the which was extracted through the churches from with whom they extracted, they extracted with the peasants. Okay, and they take in under the tithes the 10% of agriculture produce peasants had to give to churches. So tithes was abolished. Okay, noble and clergy privileges was abolished, and the large land owned by the churches that was confiscated. Confiscated in the sense the land was seized with them. Okay, the land was seized with the churches. What? The land was confiscated. Okay, confiscated in the sense seized with the churches. Who seized it? The Constitutional Assembly. Okay, the government required asset worth at least 2 billion livre.